Hey, what's going on? It's Doug Huntington here, and this is The Doug Show. I am honored to speak with Mushfiq again. I interviewed him a few months back, and we had a great conversation. He has a couple cool things going on. We're going to talk about some mergers and acquisitions in the niche site space. So this is sort of like micro mergers, and Mushfiq's been working on this. We're going to talk about a couple specific case studies. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Doug. Thanks for having me on again. It's a pleasure.
Of course. Yeah, we had a great conversation and people really enjoyed your episode. So hopefully I'll be able to convince you to come on again. But for the people that don't know you, who are you and what do you do?
Great. Yeah. So my name is Mushfiq. I've been buying, selling sites since 2008. Mostly I buy distressed websites that have a lot of easy wins for growth. I grow them and then I hold for maybe 12 months and then I sell. So I'm in continuous flipping. I don't hold a site for very long. I like to focus on 5 to 10 sites on average in my portfolio at any given time. But yeah, I've been doing that for about 12 plus years with 175 flips to date.
Awesome. And so you've really identified the areas where you have like the biggest growth potential and the ROI, and you're just honing in on that sweet spot that you know best, right?
Exactly. 100%.
I love that. I mean, like I know I run into people and they're like, oh, I want to have an 8 or 10 figure business, and they're like, grow. And, there's so many skills and that could be a fun thing to do, but you're also like constantly trying to catch up. And
yeah,
I'm a bit lazier. I like to focus on the things that I'm good at. So
right.
That's a cool approach. And is there any reason why you've adopted that, where you have realized, hey, I'm just going to stick to this area as well?
The area of flipping, or
just that sweet spot of growth that you feel most comfortable with?
So I think it's a combination of things. One, my personality, I love to see that hockey stick growth, or, buying something that's underappreciated, just like in real estate, right? You find that real estate property in a great neighborhood that needs work, right? You fix it up and then you flip it, and that there's I think an adrenaline rush to that. So, I like that hockey stick growth. And then once it stabilizes, I honestly get bored. At least at this stage of my life, I need that drama, let's say, right? So I like to just grow it and sell it to somebody who's looking for a more stable asset. I'm in the risk mode in my life right now. So that's what I like to do. So it's a personality thing, also a risk management. I buy things that have opportunity for growth. So even if I get impacted, let's say by Google update or a affiliate network going down, which has happened to me, I still have my ROI there, right? I can still flip it and get my money back at the bare minimum, but most of the time I have not lost money on any deal I have done in the past 5 years or so. So it's both of those.
Great. And for the people that want to go deeper into the criteria that helps you essentially avoid those risky situations and not lose money, which is probably one of the biggest things that we can do. Yeah. Go check out the other episode. We cover that in depth.
Right.
For today, let's get into those two case studies, or I guess instances where you have done these smaller mergers. So for the people that are more uninitiated, can you describe exactly what this means? Like, what's an M&A for a niche site?
Yeah, great. So in general, in M&A, mergers, acquisitions, happens all the time since day one. I mean, since business has been around, companies buy up other companies and merge into their own, either by taking all their assets essentially and merging it, and then essentially shutting down the other business, which is has been a bad practice in general. But in a way, M&A is essentially a quick way to grow. It happens all the time. So that same concept. So the idea, I like to do is, how do we bring real world business practices that are tested and true to niche sites, right? Because that's the way that you can survive Google updates. It's not a red flag. It's essentially mimicking the real world. So I call it micro M&A, smaller deals, right? We're not doing $1 million deals. We're doing deals, 100K less. Most of the time, my average ones have been 10K or less, and merge into my niche sites in a way. So essentially, you buy a website that already has content, or an age domain that doesn't have content, that has good features, let's say age, backlinks, or a social media profile, or anything that can help your current authority site get even higher authority and perform a merger, essentially.
Okay, perfect. And you mentioned something specific with, like an age domain, and I know like Otis, ODYS, they occasionally sponsor the show, and you've worked with them, and that's sort of like, yes, that's one of the premium places to get great age domains with exactly what you're talking about. Typically, they'll have strong, backlinks and very relevant backlinks. So someone could approach this and think, hey, I'm not going to potentially buy like another business. I'm not going to buy like another website that's operating. I'm just going to get an age domain from an auction or Otis or somewhere else. So that fits the criteria, right?
Yes, exactly. 100%.
Perfect. So let's, I guess, any other prerequisite information before we start talking about the first one of these M&As?
No, I think let's just get into it, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of Q&A there.
Cool. So tell us about the first one, and these are things people could actually check out because they're out there in the world. Yeah.
So the website Flip is my hobby project. I blog there about website flipping. So essentially, there's two ways to grow any niche site. It's outreach, hard outreach. Your success rate, we all know, on cold outreach can be 5 to 10% or less, right? To get backlinks, to get guest posts. It's a drag. It's hard, right? Or the other approach is what the business world does, do these micro M&As. So that's what I've been mostly doing. I do cold outreach as well, working with, for example, collaborating in a way. But how do I grow faster? There's a set of criteria that I follow is the business that I'm looking to merge into mine have backlinks or something that I can't obtain. So there's some web authority sites out there that I can put in a ton of effort, but I still won't get links from them. That could be Forbes, New York Times, maybe even in our industry, Empire Flippers, Flippa, these guys, right? I can build relationships, and that's obviously what I still do, but it can take a year for a guest post or a backlink to come from that. So the other approach is to find sites in my niche that already have those. Maybe they've been around for 10 years, 15 years before me, right? And then buy them up and merge into mine. So we did 2 of those in the last 2 to 3 months. So the website Flip is in the flipping niche. So website flipping niche, there's not many sites out there about these topics, just solely on these topics. So relevancy is key, and then finding that asset is key as well. So we bought flipwebsites.com. And that was managed by, if people are in this industry, Centurica, Rhodium Weekend. These are like the Chris Yates who manages those things. So I contacted him and said, hey, look, you have this site here. It's been very neglected. I mean, he blogged on that originally 10, 15 years ago when there was no Flippa, there was no website flipping. So he was one of the pioneers. And I essentially said, hey, look, I have this website. I'm really active here. Do you just want to sell it? And it was the right time. He said, yes, I bought it, and essentially moved some of the content over to my site and redirected the homepage essentially to mine because it was a one-to-one fit, right? So that's one example. I'll give the second and we can talk. The other is flipfilter.com. This was a same Centurica folks who created that. It was essentially Flippa just launched, and they put together this SaaS tool essentially that brings in all the Flippa listings and provides the Zillow of the website investing world, where Flippa only provides so much data, but these guys will take that and get more data, like what's the history of the domain, the age, the backlinks, more intricate data, and essentially build an analytics platform for that. And so I contacted the new owner of that, it changed ownership, and that person has pretty much neglected it for about a few years since he acquired it. And it was the right timing again. I was on, and again, most of our niche site owners don't like to get on a phone call. I got on a phone call with this person and said, look, this is my vision. I'm not going to just let your business die. I'm going to merge it into mine and essentially build deal feed, which we'll talk about. And it's going to be similar to what this Flipfilter used to do. But, and so I need this business to merge into mine to give me authority. And he pretty much said, yes. It took 3 months of discussions, negotiations, back and forth to close that deal, and essentially bought that. And people can check out the old version of that. It's at old.flipfilter.com. So I actually kept that because it's it's the history of the website investing world. I don't want to just delete it. So I still have it there for people who want to check it out. And then essentially, if you just go to flipfilter.com, you'll see that it redirects to my website, and some of the content was moved over as well. So those are 2 examples in the website flipping world. And, I have more, but I can stop there.
Perfect. So from a technical standpoint, what needs to happen for the redirects and to transfer those links without losing the link juice and all that stuff? And I know there's probably a couple ways to do it, and you can answer in the most simple way, and then we can unpack it. People do like the details, so feel free to go really deep.
Yeah. So I like to take the old site, essentially keep an archive, but then put a fresh WordPress installation. I know there's more technical ways to do that. I like to put a fresh, no plugins, nothing, just a fresh WordPress installation, and install just one plugin called Redirection plugin. It's free. And essentially with that, I then set up the redirects the way I want it from the site I bought to my site. And essentially that's the only technical part of all of this, is that setup.
Okay. And yeah, that's very, very simple. And I suspect redirection probably just writes to the htaccess file, perhaps.
Yeah, they have access to that, and they do. And then, I know some people who actually go direct to the htaccess file and take care of that. I'm savvy enough to do that, but I like to have that visual back end to kind of just see how things are going. I don't want to read code.
Yeah, I was going to say you end up with a better interface, so it's a little more user friendly. But if you like using, I used to use VI, that's what Vim and Emacs or whatever. So all the nerds out there know what we're talking about. But yeah, if you know, then you would be comfortable using the htaccess. Okay, so you redirect. So what strategy do you use to redirect? And I know you mentioned it was a pretty much it lined up well. So it was like homepage to homepage for one, and then you transfer over any relevant content. So that's fairly straightforward. You just map those over. What about the other content on this site, the other URLs?
Yeah. So with the homepage part, I'm pretty like when I do those redirects, the homepage redirects are very rare for me to do. This one instance was the case where I did it. If you go to flipwebsites.com, you will see that actually redirects to what I call a press release page. So again, we are mimicking real world business. When a real world business acquires another smaller business, they do press releases. And they merge after doing a press release. So what I do is I do a press release saying, okay, the website Flip acquired flipwebsites.com. Why did this happen? Who were the previous owners? What are the benefits? What's going to happen to the old content? It's merged in, but I'm just trying to make sure that it's as real as possible. And I actually redirect flipwebsites.com to that press release page so that it's not going to the homepage and raising all these red flags. And so that's, what I like to do. Sometimes if it's a one-to-one perfect match, which Flipfilter was a perfect match for a specific landing page on my site, not the homepage, it's the website flip/deal feed, essentially. They're pretty much one-to-one, same tools, same content on the page, just perfection, right? So I just tip the homepage and put it on my deal feed page. But usually I like to have a barrier to protect my main homepage on. Does that make sense?
Yep. Makes total sense. And I think, like you said, this is what would happen with a real business. So it's not weird to see, hey, this one company bought the other one. hear some history about it. So with a press release, it's probably just a couple hundred words at the most, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I do is I put a press release page on my site, and you guys can check it out if you go Flip websites. And then I use a press release agency to just take that and make a legit press release like Business World would do, that links to everything, puts the story, and it goes to all the press release aggregators essentially out there, AP News, all the big players, and that just helps the indexation, and gives it a little bit more authority. I don't know if that moves the needle or not, but I just want to make sure that it's as legit as possible.
Got it. Okay. And how much do you pay for like the press release to get distributed?
Yeah, there's various packages. I think I pay about $300 for distribution like that, and I'll send you the link for that company. I can't remember right now.
Okay, perfect. Now, what results have you seen so far? I think it's fairly new for this particular instance, but have you seen anything positive so far?
Yeah. So, my website Flip is only, I would say 7 months old. My DR right now is in the 37s. I have to check that, in 30 to 35, I believe. And so that didn't just happen because of, backlinks I built. It happened because I've been, putting all these redirections in place, and the traffic has been growing month over month. I'm in a very tough niche. It's not going to be a business where I have hundreds of thousands of visitors on a monthly basis. It's going to be very small amounts, but I'm seeing that organic traffic grow. I'm seeing the DR authority grow. So that's, a positive sign for me there.
Got it. Okay. And that is one of the things where it potentially will take, months for the actual impact to really mature and all that stuff. So, okay. Very good.
Yeah.
And any other thoughts on that particular acquisition and the merging?
Yeah, I can talk about, what the couple steps I do when I acquire. So, some of these niche sites have Google Analytics installed. You're lucky if it does, if it's already a pre-existing site. And you want to redirect the traffic. I mean, some of these sites actually get traffic. The ones I bought all had the traffic. So what you want to do is just download a Google Analytics report, the behavioral pages, and just download all the pages that get traffic and find a one-to-one match from that site, the one you bought, to your site, right? And that's an easy redirect. Forget the backlinks. You just want the traffic to transfer over. So there was a lot of content about due diligence on businesses, and I have a very detailed guide on due diligence. So I redirected all those to that guide, right? Another about website valuations, another about brokers, the top brokers in the industry. So those are easy redirects. So that's what I first focus on, is getting the traffic transfer with relevancy. And then I go into Ahrefs and go to the backlink report for the domain I bought and go into best by links, look at the pages that have the best links, and then work backwards top to bottom on which one has the best links, and then redirect those to my site. And if there is no content on those topics, I write up an article so that I can get that backlink and then pass the link juice through my site. So those are the two ways I go about that.
Perfect. So that way you don't leave anything that is getting traffic or that has backlinks like loose. You've tied up those loose ends. Okay.
100%.
And then for maybe content URLs on the site that you've acquired, if they don't get traffic and they don't have backlinks, what do you do with those URLs?
If I think that content should be on my site, and if the content is already good, I move it over and still do the redirect, right? Because I want, you have to have topical relevancy. You have to cover a lot of the topics to actually get ranked. So I still want that content on my site. Now, most of the time, most of the websites I bought are many, many years old, and all of the content is pretty much outdated. Specifically in the business world, website and flipping world, things have changed drastically. So most of the time, the content got scrapped, and I would rewrite an article. And even if it doesn't have backlinks, I want relevancy, so I still do the redirect. Now, there are other situations where if it's not the website Flip, my other websites, if it doesn't have a backlink, it doesn't have traffic, it doesn't make sense to be on my site, I actually don't do a redirect. I do what's called a wildcard. which is I get all the ones that I want passing link juice, and then I do an all-inclusive wildcard redirect that says anything else, please forward to my 404 page, one-to-one. So it will be essentially when people type in that URL on the old site, it will come over to my site and see, oh, it's not there. It'll just go to a 404 page. And that's a safe way. It's not, Google doesn't want 404s, but it's a way to just not pass the link juice deliberately to a non-topical relevant page and just say, okay, this is not found. So it's kind of a safe way to do that, at least in my opinion.
Sure. In that way, you're trying to avoid setting off any red flags with Google, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Have you looked into 410s, the 410 redirect? So are you familiar with it or?
No.
It means that content is not there and it's not relevant anymore and we deleted it.
Okay.
So I think that actually, that fits better than the 404.
Yeah,
and then
sure.
Google doesn't, they see that and they know, oh, this is gone. So.
Okay. That's good to know.
410, yeah, and it's the same like that. I guess that tool probably does it too. It's just a different.
I have to look into it.
Redirect code. Awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
All right. Anything else? Once you get the site, you're redirecting, you're taking care of all of the pages, links, traffic, even if they don't get any traffic, everything's taken care of. Where do you host it? Do you host it on the same account?
Yeah, so I use Cloudways. I put it on the same server, and then I use a Cloudflare CDN as well for even my age sites or domains all the time.
Got it. Very good. All right. Are we ready to move on to the other acquisition?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Yes.
Yeah, so the other one, this is a public site that public case study. It's an acne niche. It's called goodglow.co. I bought this site a few months ago on Flippa, and the goal there was to just, again, buy a distressed asset, grow it, and flip it. One of my, contacts said that they're launching a age domain service to find age domains from auctions. This was not purchased from Otis, which is usually my go-to. But so he said, okay, he let me essentially use a service for free and would look for an acne site. And he found a perfect match, acne-resource.org. It's a 2010 domain with excellent backlinks. And it was a perfect match again, acne, there's no issue with topical relevancy. So that's an age domain. That's not an age niche site. So I bought that same process, redirect to a press release page. So because, I don't want to, again, redirect a homepage to my homepage because that's just a red flag. I put it to a press release page. And then some of the relevant articles, for example, I had an article on the acneresource.org, the old site, about acne statistics, right? Some data about acne. So I had my writer write an article about acne statistics so I could do that one-to-one redirect there. So essentially, again, it's mapping out those redirects, doing a WordPress install, setting that up, and transferring over the content. This was done in early July, and since then, it's kind of hard to tell because there was so many Google updates in early July. My traffic is going up. Now it's impossible for me to tell if it's because of the age domain or it's because of the Google updates, but things are trending in a good direction.
Got it. Yeah. And slight tangent. What did you see across your portfolio with the updates in June, the couple in July? There's probably another one that's coming out right now as we're talking.
Yeah, probably. The only update that really, really impacted me was last April 2020. The big one. After that, I have not been impacted negatively. Some of my sites have slightly increased. One of my biggest sites I have that earns 10K a month has had a traffic boost as well. But no, I have not gotten hit. I'm pretty stable in that sense.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've seen mostly stable impacts, but I think every update, a couple sites go up, a couple sites go down, and I'm like, I don't even know why. I have no clue why.
Yeah.
In fact, like niche site project, for example, actually got hit the last few updates, and I've been like pruning the site. I've been doing all this improvement stuff, and every time it gets knocked down a little bit more. So I'm gonna have to go back and publish more content or acquire another site or something like that to stop the pain.
I have seen that though. When you prune a site, it does take a little hit and then it recovers, because it's just all of a sudden content just got de-indexed if you're deleting content. So it's I think I always do a content prune audit every quarter to get rid of content in the past year that I've added. So I think it's a healthy thing to do. So I don't think you should worry. I think it's good.
It should improve over time, should hopefully.
Yeah.
So, okay. So with this acne site, any details with like monetization, for example? Like, I'm just curious from the business side of it.
Yeah, so it's a smaller site in my portfolio. I was earning about $300 when I bought it. Now it's about $550. Just again, some few easy wins, which was adding display ads, which were missing, adding call to action. So there's a digital product that the previous owner created, a book and a database of essentially you can look up, does this food cause acne for me, or does this drink cause acne, and why? He did the research for like 170 different variations, different foods and drinks out there. So that database access and the ebook sells for about $30 one time. And so, he's not a digital marketer. He just was a person who had acne. And so a lot of call to action buttons were missing, essentially the basic CRO things that we do. So all of that was done within the first month or so of ownership to get that revenue essentially almost doubled. And now we just did the redirect, and we're just waiting for the results. And it's kind of sitting on standby for further investment to see if we can take it naturally from 500 to 1,000, and then we'll reinvest more to grow it.
Got it. Makes sense. Well, anything else with the acne site before we talk about your, I guess, sort of a new product, new thing?
Yeah. No, I think that's good. Yeah.
All right. Let's hear about it. I mean, I think I've had a little bit of a chance to take a look, but tell the folks what you've been working on.
Yeah, so I've been buying sites for a long time, and in the early days, it was really easy to manage deal flow. Essentially, there's only Flippa, and then Empire Flippers came along, and now there is there's small boutique brokerages, there's private people who are selling sites, and then there's Motion Invest that launched, Investors Club that launched in the last year or two. So there's a lot of deal flow, and more people are selling sites when they realize there's value, right? And so I personally, this is a product I created for myself to find deal flow. Essentially, it's a tabular website. You can go to the website. It's a table format where you can filter deals, and we collect all the deals from different brokerages, all the top ones and some of those smaller boutique ones, and bring the deals into one place, so you can just shop in one place, look at the data across the board. One thing we realize is every broker has a different way to showcase data. Some use charts, some use raw numbers, some don't show revenues, some don't show the profit, they only show the revenues. So how do we get things organized, standardized, all in one place, so that it's easy for you to kind of sift through and figure out which ones you want to dig deeper on. So saving people time. And some other feature. Yeah, I'll stop there and we'll talk about the features that are going to add. But yeah.
Okay, cool. And when did it launch?
In July. It's the third week of July.
Okay.
Very recently. Yeah.
Oh, super fresh then. So from a technical standpoint, can you tell me about like how you're aggregating the data and all that stuff? Yeah.
So we have, I would say, semi-proprietary access to the deals through the different brokers, through my relationships with them via APIs. It's not public APIs, kind of had to work with them to get that. So yeah, it's all programmatic. I have a development team out of India that builds the whole platform for me. It's all built in WordPress and brought in and then showcased on the front end.
Got it. So fairly straightforward and basically because of your long-term relationships with the companies, you're able to get access to this data so no one else can really do it probably.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. That's cool. Good competitive advantage. Smart.
Yeah.
All right. So, and basically, a person could go to this tool. What's it called?
Dealfeed.io. It's the domain.
So they could go to Dealfeed instead of going to like 8 different brokers or marketplaces and sort of see what's going on. And then I take it they can just go back and look at the original source if they're interested in more.
Yeah, we are just an aggregator. We don't represent the brokerage. We are unbiased resource to bring in the data. One of the challenges is that if you are in the game, you know that Empire Flipper sends new deals every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Motion Invest sends deals whenever they come through. Investors Club whenever they come through. And not all brokerages are great on sending notifications. So with Deal Feed, it all gets aggregated at the right time in one place. So you don't have to always check your email or log into that site. You just come in one place. And we're going to add notification systems and all of that in our platform so that you just have to sign up to one place to get access to everything.
Perfect. Very smart. And it's a great way to get links to, since people will say, oh, here's the aggregated list. So yeah, I like what you've done there. What are you adding in the future? I know you have a few things rolling out sometime soon.
Yeah, so it's a free tool. Majority of it will be free. So you'll always be able to look through, sift through, and find deals, essentially. The things we're adding as value add is essentially what I call signals, deal feed signals. And these are just my algorithms that we've built into. For example, if a price of an asset changes, we flag it, we tag it so that you can be the first to know and to go and negotiate. One thing the brokerages do not do a good job of is, let's say they put a site up for sale a month ago, and then they had an adjustment. Maybe the new month came through and they had a new last 6-month average, essentially bringing the valuation down, or they had a change in multiple, or the owner somehow increase the revenue. And so things change, right? And the brokerages do not just notify their entire population of subscribers on that. And so that's what DealFeed will do, is essentially capture the changes so that maybe a deal has been sitting on the market for a long time, and then all of a sudden had a valuation change. You'd be the first to know, so that if it's now, it could be a good deal that you can go and negotiate further on. Other things is, if a site sits on the market for too long, maybe 3 months or more, we flag those deals, because if a seller has been sitting on the market for too long, they might be they might be willing to negotiate stronger. So essentially just tags on sites, we flag those to let people know that this is an asset that might have opportunity.
Perfect. And like you said, it's a tool that you wanted to have, which is probably like how it all spawned. So are you like monitoring the feed? You have the super fast notification, so you get the best deals? Is that's the issue we're going to run into?
No, I don't have any special access. I'm using it just like everybody else. Whatever I am using, everybody else is getting access to. Right now the deal feed signals and all of that have not launched yet. There's no paid subscription plan or anything. That's going to come in the next 6 months. But yeah, the free tool will always be there, but deal feed signal, another one, analytics, and all of these will be subscription plans that you will buy. And take my word for it, I don't have any like premium access or super access.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll have to trust you. So, okay. Those are awesome features, because when you see, any of the marketplaces, not any, some of the marketplaces. So I like guitars. There's one sitting behind me, and I've been browsing on this marketplace called Reverb, and they actually will show you when there's any changes. They bump that specific product and it goes to the top, so you can see, oh, there's a price change on this. You can see that it's been on the market for a year or 2 years. And if people delist the product and then try to relist it again, it'll show the original date. So there's like actual transparency.
Nice.
You'll know. And you probably won't necessarily have that with those sort of flags for websites, because you don't control so many things on the other side. But that's a brilliant way to know, like, oh, as a buyer, you have a stronger negotiating position than you did before, maybe. So very cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other features or products you're thinking of?
Yeah, so just quickly, one thing that I think any website investor is missing in this industry is data. When you come fresh, it's hard to know what's the multiple like. What are the multiples? How much should I pay? What's the multiple that's closing deals? Essentially per niche. If the home niche, what's the typical multiple? If it's in the CBD niche, like what's the typical multiple? What's the multiple for a specific monetization stream, right? So this kind of data historically, it's not there. It's always word of mouth or trusting the brokers, or it's kind of a magic ball, right? There's no information. So being the first party data aggregator, right? I have access to all this data. Our next launch, which will come after DealFeed Signals, is essentially an analytics platform. You'll be able to go in there, and just like Zillow, you can see a history of an asset. We won't be able to show the sale history of a specific asset, but we'll be able to show, okay, you want to buy a site in the home niche, what were the different brokers selling for, what's the final sale price, all that data in one place, so that you can get that report. And then if you're looking for wanting to buy a site, you can use comparables and say, hey, this site had this much traffic, so does yours, and this is the amount. You can kind of get an idea and how much to offer based on historical data. So that's the analytics platform that we're planning to launch soon.
That's awesome. Do you know why, like Flippa, for example, why haven't they put out products like this? Because they had all the data for years.
I do not know. I have no idea. I'm pretty close with the head of product over at Flippa. His name's Stefan. And we talk, but I think it's hard to say. It's not there. It's not there. I think in this industry, the people who can have the brokerages, like in real estate, right, the multiple listing service, MLS, right, where all the deals come and then the real estate agents essentially pick and choose, and we get access to that data as consumers through Zillow, Redfin, and whatnot. Right, Zillow, Redfin, and those guys built the third-party aggregation platform to take all this random data and organize it in a way that's user-friendly. The MLS people don't have that incentive, maybe because they're getting all their money from the real estate agents that subscribe to that platform, so brokers, right? So again, they could build it, but I don't think that's their core business model. It's third-party people are just going to build tool sets on top of that data, and and essentially at the end of the day, I'm bringing them sales, so they have no reason to compete with me. There's no benefit for them to compete with me because at the end of the day, I'm not gonna get their piece of the business. I'm gonna actually refer business to them. So
right, that does make sense. It's just when I think about like the value of the data and like just from the positioning and that standpoint, I mean, it left an opportunity for you or other people to do similar things. But like I said, they had all the data for like years, and they could have had like, hey, we have the most information, and could have gotten, backlinks just from I'm thinking like an SEO standpoint. But anyway, very cool. And we're recording this a little bit early, but do you have any timelines so people maybe would have an idea when some of these features might be available? And we won't hold you to it, but just to give people an idea.
Yeah, so as we speak, it's August 4th. The free version of the tool is already live. You can go to dealfeed.io and play around with it. A large feature, like a bunch of features, will be launching in the next week. So I imagine by end of August, the bulk amount of usable features with the signals and all of that will be live and available for everyone to play around with.
Cool. All right. So if you're listening to this in the future, there may be a lot of other features there, and hopefully, people will check it out. So Mushfiq, anything else with DealFeed?
No, I think that's great.
Awesome. Well, where should people go to find you?
Yeah, so I'm at the website flip.com. That's where you can find me. I'm very active in Facebook groups. I think you'll probably see me commenting everywhere. So definitely you can check me out there as well.
All right. Do you have your own Facebook group, or you're just
I do. I do. It's the website Flip Club, essentially. Okay. You can look that up. And that's about 1,000 members right now, just all website investors.
Very cool. Awesome, man. Always good to catch up, and really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.